Okay, so we'll open up the meeting. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of Acts of 2021, certain COVID-19 protection measures were extended as they relate to MGL Section 30, Section A, the open meeting law. This meeting of the City of Westville Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation. Specific information can be found on the City of Westville website, www.cityofwestfield.org. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so by turning into channel 15 or channel 12, or online at westfieldtv.org, or online at youtube.com/Westfield Community Programming Channel. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we're unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the city's website an audio recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay. All right, so call to order, roll call. Jim?
Yeah, here.
Hey, Bob? Bob?
Yes.
Okay, Carl?
Yes.
Tom?
Yeah, I'm present.
All right, Cliff?
Yes.
Thank you. Again, Alex called, and he won't be attending this evening. Item 2, open participation. Any member of the public like to address the commission on any item not on the agenda? Seeing none. Item 3, public hearings. There are none at this time. Item 4, public meetings, RDAs. Eversource, ROW, right-of-way. So in accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts general laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, public meeting will be held on December 14, 2021, 6:30 p.m. by virtual meeting regarding a request for determination submitted by David Askew /Eversource for the restoration of an access road and stormwater management located in the right-of-way off Northwest Road in Westfield. Do we have a representative from Eversource?
Hi, good evening. I'm Simon Hilt representing Eversource tonight.
Welcome, Simon.
Thanks.
Okay, do you want to present your project to us?
Sure thing. May I share my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. So let me know when you can see that. Oh, I got to push the share button, then you'll be able to see it.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, great.
Good.
All right, so as some of you or all of you may be aware, in late November, members of the commission reached out to BSC Group, who is one of our environmental consultants, to pass along to Eversource that we had a washout of one of our access roads, as stated, west of Northwest Road in town. This is over by the YMCA camp. I got out there a day or so later to take a look and did indeed find that we had the washout that you can see here. It started up at the top of the slope here and worked its way down the road and chewed away at our gravel access road, and ultimately deposited some of the stone from the road within the riverfront area, just shy of a stream crossing where we've got a existing steel bridge in place out there. But it didn't appear that any of the material actually made its way to the stream itself. I did inspect the stream channel. I didn't find any signs of deposition there. It seemed like some of the cobbles settled out here, which is just to the side of the access road, north of the access road. And then there was a little bit of sand that had settled out about 15 feet or so shy of the bridge. So what seems to have happened is that, my figure here, there's a wetland, which is mainly off right away within the forested area north of the right of way here. And it seems that when we had an extreme rain event a few weeks back, mid-November, I believe, basically the watershed contributing to this wetland overwhelmed it, and the water basically overflowed from this wetland, which is a pretty small and it's not a VVW with much capacity. Made its way to the point here where it ultimately overflowed onto the access road here, and found its way. The grade is generally flat up here until you reach about this point, and once it reached that spot where it started to go downhill, it picked up velocity and scoured out this section of the access road, this section of this work pad, and then ultimately that shot that I showed you that settled out some of the cobbles is right about here, and the sand kind of ended up here. So what we're proposing to do to remedy this, and also want to say thank you for bringing this to our attention, because it's obviously critical that we take care of it so that we have access to the structures out there. In addition to restoring the access road, basically rebuilding it in place here in the section of the work pad, we're proposing to retrieve the cobbles that settled out and basically clean up the issue that occurred from the runoff. And then to remedy it in the future, what we're proposing is essentially at this location here where the water first entered the access road, as we're rebuilding the section of the road, we propose to build up this road section a little bit taller, not much, just a few inches basically. And then over on the edge, I'll get to some photos that illustrate this a little bit more clearly perhaps in a minute, but kind of right along the tree line edge here, as I had mentioned, this section is generally flat. So we're proposing that to cut essentially a small vegetated swale for a length of roughly 50 to 60 feet. That's the solid blue line here. Once it gets past about this point, the topography of the area is generally sloping towards this direction to the east and ultimately to the stream here. And then within the right of way, the topography slopes away from the access road back towards the tree line at the section. There's sort of a divide right along the edge of the access road. So our thought is if we create a higher elevation along the existing access road within the footprint of the access road, and then create a low spot over here, if this wetland does have a similar situation where it becomes overwhelmed, water would basically slowly find its way to this low spot here, follow the swale, and then at this point here would just flow through an area that's densely vegetated, ultimately finding its way further down the slope where the natural contours there would kind of take it right to the corner of our work pad here. So we're proposing to pull back the stone from our work pad and basically armor this edge here to allow the water to just take its natural course here and ultimately would find its way down to the stream. There's not an intermittent stream here as it stands, so I don't expect this is going to be something that is going to see regular flow. That would be an issue as far as persistent erosion or anything like this. But this is basically an overflow channel for this wetland, so that the water can find its way down to the stream here. So just going to flip through some pictures that kind of illustrate what I'm talking about here. This area up here is just kind of the edge of that BVW poking out of the forested edge here. So this arrow indicates where the water did find its way across here. And then ultimately there's a bit of a water bar or swale within the access road, which kind of kicked the water down the road this way to the east. And then ultimately you can see that where my cursor is here, if you're able to see that, that's where it followed the road and ultimately scoured out. So what I'm proposing to do is in this flat section within the buffer zone to basically create that small swale, which would, if we do have that event that made the BVW reach capacity, this would be the low spot, which the water would naturally flow to. It wouldn't have velocity in this area we're proposing to cut the swale because it's essentially flat, but we would grade it such that it made its way towards this way. Once it gets past this point right here is what I'm talking about, it would just kind of naturally hug the tree line. So here's this from the end of this point right here. Here's basically where it would head, and the topography here is all sloping towards the tree line. It's sort of a natural depression this way, headed to the east. So our swale would end off out of frame here, and then ultimately any flow would just kind of be surface flow through this densely vegetated area, ultimately making its way to the stream. That point where I showed you where it likely would intercept where our work pad currently exists is right here. You can kind of see that slope is all leading this way, and then the tree line kind of slopes up. So this is a natural trough where the water would flow. So we'd be pulling back this gravel here and protecting the edge of our work pad, but basically allowing the water to flow this way, and then it continues as it gets back into the tree line there, it would stay away from our infrastructure naturally. So that's essentially the proposal. The swale that I'm talking about up here, it would be something that would be maybe 3 or 4 feet wide, again by 50 or 60 feet long. We're proposing to use some biodegradable erosion control blanket, essentially coconut fiber or jute netting, just to stabilize it through the winter and seed it, so that ultimately the goal would be a vegetated swale here, and certainly come back in the spring to check on it, make sure that it's stabilized. That is it in a nutshell. Any questions for anyone?
All right, questions for the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question to the applicant. What is the, maybe you said it, I missed it. What is the width of the swale and the depth? And I'm guessing it's going to be sort of an arc.
Yeah, exactly. It's nothing engineered. So, I mean, we would basically build it on site, but what I envision would be sufficient would be something probably about 4 feet wide. And I don't think it would need to be more than, I mean, ultimately we want to make it continue to have a low spot, so it naturally goes that way. So it might start off at a depth of maybe 6 inches. It might ultimately end up being closer to a foot down at this end here, but we want to keep the grade of the swale very gentle so that it does not pick up velocity as it's traveling through that section.
Okay, and you're just going to take the tailings and move them off to the left or the right of the channel and spread them evenly?
Yeah, I think that would work just fine. It would just be some topsoil. So yeah, we would propose to stabilize it in the uplands. If there's anything specific the commission would like to see, we can accommodate. All right, and are you going to vegetate it at all? Yeah, again, that's the plan. So we would line the swale with a biodegradable erosion control netting and seed it with just probably like a native erosion control seed mix.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, other questions from the commission?
I had a quick question, if I may.
Yes.
Do you envision that there will be any need to maintain that swale so that it doesn't fill up with vegetation?
No, I don't believe so. I mean, we will certainly be thoughtful of the way that we construct it, such that if it does grow up with herbaceous vegetation or even woody vegetation, it would still remain a depression. That would be the natural, kind of path of least resistance. It would be the low spot in this otherwise flat area. So rather than the water just kind of pooling up to the point where it reaches the road, which is the low spot now, we would provide this easier access low spot here. So I'm actually, the more vegetation, the better in the swale in my mind, just to make sure that it stays stable, doesn't see erosion or anything like that. And I don't think that there would be an extent of vegetation that would obstruct the flow at all.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
One quick one. What's your timetable on doing this?
Hoping to do it before the end of the year.
The growing season's over, right? So any seeding or anything is not it's going to be dormant, right?
Yeah, understood. And I mean, the idea here is that while we don't expect to see this happen again, we want to be prepared in the event that we do have another precipitation event or even spring melt. So again, the first piece, aside from rebuilding the access road in place, would be in this upper section where my cursor is now, to kind of berm that up a little bit so that this is the natural path here. And we are seeding it knowing that it's not the growing season, but if we don't have because it's going to be such a low gradient swale, unless we had some sort of catastrophic weather event, the seed ought to stay in place. Any water flowing through here shouldn't have velocity enough to sweep it away. But as I mentioned before, we'll definitely keep an eye on it, come back in the springtime and make sure that it is stabilized. And if seed needs to be reapplied, it's going to be a very small area that it would need to be reapplied to.
Thank you.
Other questions? Simon, do you have a photograph of the severe area where it looked like the Grand Canyon in the middle of your road?
I do have one that I can pull up if you'd let me check.
I went out there and saw that. We were looking at the Plutoniac site and used the access road to get there. And, that's when we noticed the erosion, but it was maybe 2 to 3 feet deep in some parts.
Wow.
The bottom of the road being eroded away.
Yep.
It was quite incredible.
Yeah, I do have one that I can put up, I believe. Give me a moment.
Sure.
Or maybe not. Let me see here. I know that I took some. I'm not sure that they actually got downloaded to my computer.
Okay, well, just
Yeah.
believe me, it was it was very destructive.
Yeah, I don't know if this is, low resolution, but you can see a small extent here, but, yeah, as, I don't know if that was David that mentioned, the road curves around here and then takes another slope. And yeah, and essentially the water found a little scour path and it just kept chewing up. I'm not sure what the total precipitation that we received during that rain event was, but we've had a number, over the course of this year that we've had issues where we've received, upwards of 6 inches of rain in an event, and we've had issues like this. So hopefully this is not the new normal, but we're something that we're taking into account as we're building new access roads and making sure that we're designing them with water bars at appropriate intervals so that we're reducing velocity and trying to avoid situations like this.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the commission?
Is it one quick one, Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Is that going to be monitored through the winter?
The swale?
Yes.
This
doesn't happen again.
Sure. I mean, I can commit to that. Again, I think we're looking to do the work before the end of the year here. And then if you'd like me, if you want me to be out there, if we get, precipitation based monitoring. So if we get a big storm or something, I can commit to getting out there to take a peek at it after that. Or if you want me to do it on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, either of those work.
all right, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the commission? Seeing none, any questions or comments from the audience concerning this particular project? All right, thank you, Simon. Can you stop sharing, please?
Yep.
Thank you. So I'll entertain a motion to close the public meeting.
So moved.
Have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Bob,
Yes.
Jim,
Yep.
Carl,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
thank you. All right, do we have a motion on a determination?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. We go with a -3 with the following conditions. First, to notify the Conservation Office or Chairman Doe when work is starting and is completed. Prior to any work, erosion controls will be installed. Erosion controls will be approved by Chairman Doe, or the applicant shall send photos to the Conservation Commission after erosion controls are installed, and post-construction monitoring report shall be sent to the Conservation Office when the area is completely stabilized.
We want to add one that the applicant observes the area after each major rainfall.
Yes,
the
I'll
area is
add that the applicant observes the area after each major rainfall. Do you want to specify what major is, Mr. Chairman?
I don't know, several inches.
Okay, 2 inches, 2 inches. Okay. Those are my motions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'm happy with that, so I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Bob,
Yes.
Tim,
Yep.
Carl,
Yes.
Tom,
I vote yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
thank you. All right, well, good luck, Simon.
Great, thank you very much. I'll keep you informed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Item D, Zero Timber Swamp Road. Planting of native saplings for restoration. In accordance with provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, a public meeting will be held on December 14, 2021 at 6:30 PM. A virtual meeting regarding request for determination submitted by Lucky 7/Jeff Pasca for the restoration of the 100-foot buffer zone that was cleared without permit, and if the work that is proposed is subject to jurisdiction under the Wetlands Protection Act and Westfield Wetlands Ordinance. The location of the proposed work is 0 Timber Swamp Road in Westfield. We have a proponent for this project.
Good evening. This is Scott Jordan from Ecotech.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. I see that Michael Schaefer, the project engineer, may be on. I know he had multiple hearings tonight, I was told, so he may be just hanging there. I can certainly talk to you about the proposed work, folks. I don't know much about the project itself. I can tell you that the project, and I don't know if you folks have a copy of the plan.
No, please, do you have one?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know that I do. Let me see. See if I can find. How's that? Can you folks see
Okay.
that?
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Great. So the proposed project, I believe, is a commercial project. I'm not familiar with that, but the project is entirely outside of the buffer zone. The closest wetland resource area is down in the southeast corner, and I'll talk to you about that in just a moment. Buffer zone for that particular wetland is right through here. So this project is entirely outside the buffer zone. Ecotech, we were on the property in April. It's a larger piece of property. I forget it's 15 or 20 acres. We delineated resource areas on the property. Most of them were back in the northern portion of the site. Again, no work within the buffer zone at this time proposed. What we did find when we were on the property was some clearing had already taken place. You can see the tree line here, and it goes through here. So the proposed project, which we had discussed with Meredith, how to handle this, and she recommended the RDA. The proposed work that we're here for the RDA is just some restoration of this area here that was cleared, the buffer zone. Totals about 8,400 square feet. So what we found was on the other side of Timber Swamp Road on the east side.
Actually back, sorry.
Is that Michael?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm have a planning board meeting in the other room that I just got done with.
Okay, Michael. Well, just talking about the restoration work. So we found a wetland on the east side of Timber Swamp Road, and there's a culvert under the road which drains onto this subject property via a very short swale. And the swale just comes to an end. It's fairly sandy soil. We believe that any runoff that ever does discharge through the culvert just infiltrates. We delineated the swale. There's no evidence of flow beyond our delineated swale. There's no bordering vegetative wetlands down gradient of it. So it's just the terminus of a swale that probably very intermittently discharges from this wetland across the street. But it does qualify as resource area bank. And again, here's the buffer zone for the swale. And the limit of clearing, again, right in here. So this area of buffer zone totals about 8,400 square feet. And my colleague, Mr. Morrison, has prepared a restoration protocol for this area. there's really no, the earth wasn't disturbed in here. The trees were just dropped. So we're nice and stable. We certainly expect that the stumps in this area and this area will regenerate with vegetation in short order. However, we are proposing to plant native saplings and shrubs in the area. The protocol calls for 10 saplings, 4 to 6 feet in height. The applicant, we've given them a choice of northern red oak, eastern white pine, red maple, or black birch, all species that we found indigenous to the site. And we're proposing 10 shrubs within this area: witch hazel, staghorn sumac, or northern arrowwood, facultative plant, which will grow fine in here. Prior to the plantings will obviously be done next year during the growing season. We've proposed that the applicant install signs every 50 feet along this buffer zone, or construction fencing, so that there's no more work encroachment in this area. We will remove the slash and the stumps by hand. They'll be cut up into manageable sizes, removed by hand so we don't get any earth disturbance by machine, and then do the plantings next spring. Beginning mid-April, certainly done by November 1, I believe is the proposal, during the growing season. And that is it for the proposed work within jurisdictional areas, just restoration plantings within the buffer zone.
Thank you. Any questions from the
Yeah, if
commission?
I could, would you like me to take you through the larger project since we're dual flying here? This is Mike Schaefer, the engineer. Okay, how do I get control of the screen here? Do I just share my screen?
Yeah,
I'll
your
stop
colleague-
sharing. There
Now
you go.
can share.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much, Scott. Appreciate you filling in for Scott Morrison. So the remediation area, everybody knows what's going on there. And so, we've proposed something to resolve that. This is a plan that we had been discussing, and I'll just quickly go through it. This is what's currently proposed for construction. This was going to be built, intended to be built in 3 phases. So these dash lines you see are future developments, and one of the reasons we did this was just to map it out for the client, and to map it out for you, and to map it out for the planning board, so that everybody can see what the end game is, assuming it gets to that point. And we are starting on the uphill side, this being down over here. And we have basically, there's going to be a small building here, and it's going to do some grading around the outside. There'll be some pavement here, and all the drainage will work this way. Sewage kind of goes down this way to the septic tank and leach field, and all the drainage will eventually come this way. This is actually one of the nicest sites I've ever worked on, that all the grading goes in one direction. Makes the stormwater issue very, very easy. But the key point of where we wanted to present this to you today, apart from remediation things, to show you that the proposed development is going to be outside of the 100-foot buffer. We're going to stay away from it. We're not going to disturb it at all, so that I'm sure that makes you happy, makes the client happy, and we don't have to go through any long-term notice of intent process, other than what we're doing here. I'm not sure if you're going to be reacting this as an emergency action. I'm trying to remember what Meredith had said when we first talked to her about this. But that's really what the proposal is about. This is not really that big, but anything we do will be outside of the 100-foot buffer.
Okay, well, thank you for the information. Again, we're just addressing that, that area tonight in the RDA, but
We had actually applied, I thought, for the entire project, to let you know that we're outside the buffer so that we could go to planning.
David, there is a -2 for the building and a -3 for the if you look at the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Right, did you find any vernal pools in your investigation of this area?
We certainly did not do any vernal pool evaluations. Again, there's no wetlands within the immediate vicinity of the proposed development.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not shown on the screen, but back here, can you see my mouse still?
right,
Yeah, there were wetlands all off the screen here. This parcel is very deep. This is maybe a third of the parcel. And so we decided to stay toward the front, and really just the whole idea is, you know, to stay away from the buffers.
did Meredith go out and actually walk this site with you?
I do not, I know that, I'm pretty sure she was out there because of this, but I do not know if she did any other further exploration or verification of wetland flood.
Mr. Chairman, our report states that there were no map certified or potential vernal pools.
All right, thank you.
Based upon GIS mapping on the site.
Scott, you did the delineation yourself?
Myself and Scott Morrison from my office were on the site, yeah.
How many trees were taken down in the subject area?
Yeah, I'm not certain about that. Mr. Morrison filed the RDA, prepared the restoration protocol. I don't think that he quantified them.
Jim, they just got a little ahead of themselves. Is that what happened? They just got their chainsaws out before.
I'll be honest with you. If you were to see this swale, you wouldn't have known it was a resource area at all. We just us folks knowing that, you know, a swale that can carry flow that flows out of a marsh, swamp, bog, wet meadow, or swamp is technically a jurisdictional stream. So I can understand how they would have missed it. It's just a shallow swale that has a culvert, you know, above it, upgraded.
Yeah, Scott, is there a planting plan? I mean, have you actually located these trees? And I'm trying to, that's why my first question, you know, if you're replacing trees that you cut, it would be good to know how many trees you cut.
Yeah, I don't believe that he quantified that. I don't see a note on that. I think, again, I think the thought with the restoration protocol was to do some plantings around 20-foot on center spacing, which is, you know, sort of a common spacing you'd see in nature for trees. The trees and the shrubs, they're probably going to be about 20 feet on center. And also we do expect regeneration, sprouts from the stumps in short order also. So you wouldn't want to really overwhelm it with plantings because there's a natural, you know, balance that, you know, some would actually get shaded out if you throw in too many, and you get the regeneration. I think that was his thought.
Yeah, I can say I was there after it had taken place. I wouldn't want to venture to guess that, you know, that give you a number because they were all different types and sizes. I mean, there was nothing there that was super mature. There wasn't any, you know, we're talking maybe a caliper of the largest one was maybe 5-6 inches, maybe. Most of it was just a lot of brush just laying down. And what I mean by brush, I don't mean brush as in like underbrush. You know, the trees were small. They were all laying down. I could kind of get around pretty easily. I had to step over a few things. They did have a stockpile, but that was a lot of that was because this whole area, this area here was pretty much the limits. So it was a very large limit. And what ended up happening is that the gentleman that was doing the cutting got a little overzealous. and started cutting a lot more than he was supposed to be cutting. And actually, this is how he went into this area before we could stop him. So this area here really was not, I could walk around here relatively easy. Yes, I did have to step over branches and smaller caliper trees that were, taken down, but there wasn't anything, there may have been one bigger tree here that was maybe 6 inches or something like that. I think you have a photo, at least one photo in the report. Can you pull it up, Scott? Or I can pull it up too,
Yeah.
actually. Hold on, I can pull it up. I have it here too.
Okay. Good idea, Michael.
It might actually be in your report that you have there in front of you. Might be easier to see, but I'll do my best.
It should be, I suspect, at the end of this submittal,
Okay.
a little further. Okay, there we go.
Okay, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. I can figure this out. Very well. Bear with me, I'm not so technically savvy. Oversensitive. Is it higher?
Nope, the other way, I'm sorry.
Other way. Okay.
Yeah, that's the wetland report and the rest.
There you go.
There you go.
So the limits, the 100-foot buffer is probably right about here. So you can see there isn't a whole heck of a lot. But I'm sorry, Scott, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I believe this is from Timber Swamp Road,
Correct.
looking westward into the site. The culvert is in this area. This blue flag is probably flag F4 would be my guess on our plan.
Yeah, there's a
And
little right
we
here.
flag, you can just see this shallow swale. There's some stained leaves at the very beginning of this swale. And it goes for probably, let's see, it's a 30 or 40 feet. And we just turned around on it because we lose the definite channel in the ground. That is the definition of a stream channel with where water moves due to a hydraulic gradient. So it's sort of a diffuse looking channel. Technically qualifies as an intermittent stream that goes blind and contains the resource area bank.
Thank you. Any further questions from the commission?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So I have who's been out there from the commission? Have we had a chance to look at it yet, or
Only Meredith.
just Meredith? Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you want to go out and see it? Anyone on the commission?
Yeah, I think it might be a good idea.
I'm thinking it'd be an excellent idea to do a site visit. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, before we vote on that, applicant, you mentioned something about the stumps and the slash piles. What would you like to do with those?
The stumps will remain. The slash and the logs will be cut up so that they can be removed by hand, and the slash will be removed by hand.
Why not just leave them there for habitats for organisms?
I would say there's probably a little bit too much to leave. We can certainly, if you have a site walk, we can discuss that. And leaving a little bit is a good idea. Yeah.
Okay.
We
All
can
right,
work
thank you.
that out.
Yes. All right. So, so it seems like the commission would like to do a site visit before we vote on this particular project. So the applicant, just contact Colleen at the office and she can coordinate this. We'll pick a date where we can go out and meet you there.
Sure, that would be fine. We can certainly do that.
Okay. And do you have the 50-foot and the 100-foot buffer zones marked?
No.
Okay, could you put some flags at 50 feet and 100 feet? So we have an idea of where things are?
Sure.
Okay,
Scott, we can do that with our survey equipment. We have your points here, unless you want to do it yourself, but we have points here.
That would certainly be probably a better idea to do it with the survey instrument.
Yeah, I mean, we have all these points for the buffer. Did you
Great.
say you wanted a 50-foot buffer too, sir?
yeah, just a couple at the 50 and because the 100 is curved there, put a few around so we know at the two ends, maybe a couple in the middle.
Sure, no problem.
And Mr. Chairman, can I add that the building footing also be flagged?
Okay,
And
Just-
I have one question.
Just these two
One
corners,
question.
right?
yes, Bob.
There's no additional cutting that's gonna happen on this property, right?
On this property or in the buffer?
In the buffer.
No, absolutely not. That's why we're going to be putting, once the commission approves what we're going to propose to do, we're going to be putting signs up here. There's a sign in your packet. I think at the very end or the one slide before the very end, I can show you that.
Yeah, that should be the next page down, I believe, Michael.
Yeah. I'm going to make it smaller so you can actually see it. So the intention is to put up a sign that would basically protect the area. Let me zoom a little further out. Can you see that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So we would put these signs per the mitigation plan that Scott has presented along the 100-foot buffer, so that as a, hey, make sure you don't go beyond this this point.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments from the commission before we vote to continue?
Just a point of clarification, Chairman.
Yes.
The building corners are just these two you're talking about, right? You don't need to do all of these, do you? You just want to know where this edge is.
Right.
Okay.
And it looks like a pretty steep grade between the building and the wetland there. The
It's a
buffer.
cut.
It's a cut.
It's actually a cut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we'll, again, Colleen will be in contact with you about a future site visit. No further
Okay.
questions or comments. Entertain a motion to continue until January 11th.
Any public comment, David?
Well, I guess we're, okay. All
I
right,
don't know.
yeah, we can do that. We can do it the second meeting, but, okay, first, before we do the motion, anyone in the audience can like to have a comment or a question about this particular project?
I would.
Yes, sir.
My name is Jeff Baxa. I'm the lead from Lucky 7, and I just wanted to provide a little bit of backstory. We had arranged for the work to be done and walked the site with the logging company, who is actually pseudo local to the area, but we had never given them 100% the go ahead to go. We had said, hey, it's coming up. We walked the project, and then before we'd actually even closed on, not before we closed, but as the closing was being done, I'm getting a phone call from Meredith, of all people, saying, hey, what's going on? And it was a surprise to even me that we had somebody on the property that was doing work. So we immediately called, shut everything down, which was about a year ago, February, and have been in the exact same place since that time. So we have moved nowhere. We haven't done anything to the property. We're, again, we want to be as transparent with everybody as possible. We have no malintent, and we want to make sure that we are satisfying whatever the commission's requirements are and being good neighbors. This was a very unfortunate way to kick off our relationship, and I'm hoping that we can make sure that everything goes smoothly from here on out.
Well, thank you for your kind words and also your prompt response to Meredith. We appreciate that.
Hey, Jeff, I wondered why Meredith didn't immediately slap you with a stop and a desist order and an enforcement order, but having heard the presentation from the engineer and from the environmental consultant, she must have gotten a good feeling from talking to you guys, which I also have now also. So thank you for working with us.
No, absolutely. I can share a little light on that. We actually had a meeting with various city departments, planning, the whole 9 yards about this particular project. I thought, and Meredith was there. I would say I thought someone was there from the Concom. Would have been Meredith. So there was a variety of things discussed. I think everybody recognized that Jeff and his company, was basically, this was not intended by any means. It was just something that somebody decided to do without our knowledge, and that we're willing to do whatever we can to restore it. And I think at that point, in goodwill and the various application processes and stuff like that, because we're looking to go forward to the planning department. We're looking forward to, get this project built here starting in May. And the intention is that, that we want to do all of this work, put all the plantings in all at the same time, and just make it a good project all the way around and restore all the damages that have been done, unfortunately.
All right, well, thank you. And we look forward to meeting with you out on the site.
Yeah, and I will email Colleen because I know she's not always in the office. So
Okay.
I have her email address here. I'll communicate with her through that.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you, Jeff.
Mr. Chairman, I'll give you a motion that we continue this until our next meeting on January 11th.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Yeah, please stop sharing.
Yep, sorry. You all have a wonderful holiday.
You too, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor? Bob,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Tim,
Yep.
Carl,
Yes.
and Tom.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 5, enforcement, 33 Castle Hill Road. Mr. and Mrs. Kopatz. Hello. Okay.
You
Again,
hear me?
yes, we can. Thank you.
Yep. Right here.
All right. You got a letter from Meredith, and I just
No.
wondered how are things that come along there?
I haven't received anything from Meredith. It's just from the town of Westfield, city of Westfield.
And what was probably sent by her office.
I haven't received anything.
Okay,
And
Colleen?
You didn't receive the email from Meredith?
No, nothing.
She said
How I knew about this meeting tonight was, I just got a text from her phone saying that there was a Zoom meeting, the board wants to know what's going on, and for some reason, she said my email doesn't work. But the DPW has it, they sent me all the plowing contracts, building department has it, they've sent me everything, I haven't received anything.
All right, then we'll have to resend that from the office.
And we were on after the meeting last time you had it, we were late. And I was texting with her while she was at the meeting.
Okay,
Asking what's going on. And she said she was going to follow up with a letter because I was trying to get her to text me what was going on. And all I got was I was going to get a letter. So she wanted my email. I have it. I gave it to her on the text message and a letter. I've been waiting every day going to the mail looking for it.
All right,
Yeah.
I will resend you that letter tomorrow when I get in.
Great.
oh,
Okay?
sorry.
But I want to do whatever you want me to do. I just don't know what it is.
Okay,
Right.
I'm
So-
sorry. That's what was in the letter. What we'd like you to do, at least at the beginning, is
Just so you, well, who was there? Which one of you were there with?
David, I think, was there.
I was there.
You were there. So you saw, I got the silt fence up down below.
Okay,
I got the tobacco netting, maintaining it.
okay,
And I didn't know, until I got permission to do anything, I was gonna put a bale of hay down where the silt fence was, but I didn't want to do anything without somebody's permission to do it.
okay. Well, in the letter, we were asking you to put, again, to stabilize the silt fence, and
Yeah,
then put a row of, actually straw bales, not hay bales.
yeah, okay.
And then we can go from there. I mean, that's the beginning of the project.
So now that I know I'll get it done, I'll take a picture and send it to whoever you want me to send it to.
Right, send it to the office,
All right.
okay? And then
Mr.
we'll make sure you get the letter, and then we'll
Yeah.
have more details, and then we'll be talking to you in the future. Yes,
That's fine
Mr.
with me.
Kopatz, I will ensure that my email is on the letter I send you.
Okay,
All right, so that way it'll come directly to me.
okay. I'm gonna be getting it in the mail or email?
Well, I'll mail it to you because if for some reason we have your email address wrong, I
Okay,
want to make sure that we send it to you where you get it.
good. Just so, like I said.
Yeah.
DPW sent me all the plow contracts, so
That email's good.
they're getting through, so,
Okay,
all right?
so right now, just work on the silt fence and the straw bales.
I'll have it done next week, no problem.
All right, thank you very much.
All right then.
Sorry about the
Thank you.
mix-up.
Have a good night.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, item B, 300 Union Street.
he did call, but it was on the 29th. He said he had just arrived home from vacation and he was gonna get back to us. I
Okay,
know Meredith sent him an email today. Might have been yesterday. No, I think it was today. Just reminding him that he should show up at the meeting. Obviously, he's not here.
okay.
We can send him another letter. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, send him another letter, try to get, some kind of contact with him.
Okay.
So did he get the enforcement order? Do we know?
Yes, of course he got the enforcement.
Okay.
Wait a minute, let me just verify. Yes, he did.
Okay.
did. Yep.
All right, so we'll have to follow up with him this week or next week.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Item C, 760 Granville Road. Building of an unpermitted barn in boarding land subject to flooding, stockpiling riverfront area. So I went out to this site last week with Carissa, the building inspector. She was concerned about the barn that was being built there. And I took some pictures. I'm not sure if I could get them up there, but I'm going to try to share them. Okay. Oh, where'd it go? Sorry, my computer's a little slow. All right, here's the pole barn that she was concerned about. Again, what we found out is that this land is under 61A agriculture. They actually raise pigs and sell them from this property. This is a pole barn. They're building for storage. There's not going to be any water or electricity in it. And I guess our
David, we're not
concern,
seeing any images.
Yeah, did you
Sorry.
share? Yeah.
pardon?
We're not seeing any images. I
I
don't know.
clicked on share.
Okay.
Peter giving you permission?
Yeah, usually you have to click on share and then click on what you want to share. It's kind of a two-step
Click share.
process. There we go.
Okay. All right, here, okay,
Perfect.
here's one of the piles. Again, he's got two piles that are, the edge of the pile is about 45 feet from Munn Brook. Let me try another one.
David, may I ask, were they manure piles or was it just like woody debris?
Probably some of both. It wasn't just loam, that's for sure.
Okay,
You can see this is dark, darker over here.
yeah,
Yep. And once he finishes the barn, he said he's going to move these piles back to the area of the barn. And he uses them to fill in around the gardens too. Okay, let's get the next one. Whoops. I haven't done this before here. Next one. All right, let's. So along Brook, along the brook, he also had some other materials like this big container. The edge of the brook is right here. And there are also some piles. He said people have been driving in here and dumping material. Since then, he's put up a fence and he's going to again, get rid of these things. And again, the edge of the brook is over here. And here's the brook right here. Again, it's quite woody in between the pile and the brook. The pile is over in this area here. And here again, here's our one of the piles. So I measured, and I can stop sharing now. How to do that? There we go. So I measured from the edge of the brook to the corner of the barn, and it was 205 feet. So they're certainly outside of the river, the river buffer area. But because it's under 61A, they do have exemptions for those types of activities. And again, as he finishes the barn, he's going to move that canister away from the brook up next to the barn. He's going to get rid of those two refuse piles. He's going to move the two piles of compost and dirt away from the brook as well. So what I suggest is that we have him, in the time being, put a silt fence between the brook and those piles until he gets them away from the brook area. Maybe a silt fence and some straw bales. Any questions or comments?
David, you said something about pigs, is that correct?
Yes, they were raising pigs there and then
Wait.
selling them at the end of the season. I
A
saw the
whole
enclosure
bunch?
where they were.
So clearly that would be agricultural. That would be, I mean, that's the rule, right? That
Right,
it
it
has to be something that,
Something commercial that they're selling.
I think you're on the right track. I'm on board with you.
All right. Other questions or comments?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I had actually a question.
Yes.
If there is an agricultural exemption, does that still exempt things like a manure pile that close to the creek or not?
I don't know. I can't find anything about that in the regulations. So I think if we haven't put a silt fence there and then move them, I think that will, satisfy our interests.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that
Yeah.
too.
as long as they don't plan on keeping it there, that's my concern.
Right.
Weirdly enough, I took a manure management class once.
Okay.
Okay. And having the manure that close to the stream is not good.
Right,
Because it goes into the stream, goes downhill, it gets in the pond, gets in ponds. And then where the ponds are, it's causing the ponds to have an overabundance of algae
right,
because of the fertilizer in it.
right.
So it's actually our agriculture is actually doing a number on our ponds, which
Sure.
of course, when there's an overabundance of algae, it kills
Right.
the frogs, the salamanders and all the goodies that go in there. So I feel a little concerned about having it that close. So
Right.
silt fence, I think is great.
So Colleen and I will put together a letter to send to him codifying our interests. We also have to send a letter to the building department saying that,
I just think I need to send her an email letting her know that we're asking what we're gonna ask him to do. That's all.
okay, and tell him that the building is out of our jurisdiction.
Right,
And then she'll go from there with her permits.
right.
Okay? All right,
Do we need to vote on that? I don't think we need to
Yes.
vote on that. Okay.
yes, let's have a motion. Someone?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we send a letter to the applicant specifying that a silt fence with straw bales be erected behind the two dump piles. And was there a second part to that?
That he remove the two piles of refuse that others had dumped there and then move the container, the storage container up next to the barn when it's finished.
That's what I wanted to say.
Okay. All right.
I'll
And then-
second that.
And then also move those two piles of compost and manure away from the river when the pole barn's done as well.
Yes.
All right, thank you. And you have a second? Was that Carl?
Yeah, I'll second that with the addition.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Bob,
Yes,
Tom,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
and Jim.
Yep.
All right, thank you. All right, item 6, discussion. Jack's Brook culvert replacement. Again, there's a request from the city to waive the bond.
Yes, this was actually, it was actually put through before we had made our new
Condition.
our new addition in there, allowing if it's a city contractor, one of our normal city contractors, for us to not have a bond. And, the engineering department came over and they said that it's actually causing a little bit of issues with the people who are putting in the bids. So they were asking if it's one of our normal, if we can go ahead and waive that bond.
Okay, any
So-
further discussion?
This is quite old quite old. This is more than 2 years old then?
It is, and we just granted them an extension.
Ah.
So it was actually 3 years old and then we gave them an extension and then the culvert collapsed, so.
Okay,
Jim, you okay with removing the bond?
Right, but it's just, if you just reading the document, this is the same text more or less, I believe, that we have in the current order of conditions.
right,
City does the work. So yes, I'm in agreement to it. Absolutely.
okay. All right, so then I would ask a motion to waive the bond for the Jack's Brook culvert because it's a city project.
So moved.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
we're not exactly waiving the bond. It's that this performance part of it will be carried by the contractor in the regular contract.
all right, I stand corrected. Thank you. So Colleen, write it as Jim just said. Okay,
I will.
okay, thank you. So all in favor, Bob,
yes,
Jim?
Yep.
Carl,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 7, we have a motion to approve the minutes of November 23rd, 2021.
Mr. Chair, I did read it. I didn't find any errors. So from my perspective, I say it's okay, depending what others say.
All right.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any additions or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor? Bob,
Yes.
Jim,
Yep.
Tom,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
thank you. Item 8, discussion.
Wait. Oh, sorry. I just want to make sure I don't miss it.
What?
So are we gonna go to in-person meetings in January, or are we gonna continue Zoom meetings? I need to know now because I need to start asking for a room if we're gonna go in person.
I don't know the way things are going out there. I don't feel comfortable doing it.
Okay. All right. So, and Peter, we're okay continuing Zoom, correct? Okay. All right. So we're gonna continue indefinitely for that.
And that's my opinion. What about the rest of the commission?
I would like to go in person, but I don't think it's correct and practical to do it now.
Yeah.
So, but I'd like to be more specific when we evaluate it again. How about we wait till the end of February and put on the agenda again and make another decision? So we go 2 months to 2 months.
Especially over the holidays, people are going to be in contact with all different
Yeah.
kinds of people, so.
Yeah. Or 3 months if everybody wants, 2 or
Yeah.
3 months. But I just want a date certain to evaluate it again.
Okay,
Okay, also, Tom, Carl, and Cliff, you all need to submit your letter of intent and a resume to the mayor, because you all expire in February of 2022. I just want to get you guys going now. And yes, I know you guys did it just a year ago, but because of how it went with your already expired status, you got to go again.
Okay, thanks for the heads
Cliff and
up.
Cliff and I have to go again, but I thought Carl was a lifetime appointment.
He could be. We can make him that.
good one, Tom. Okay. Item B, ordinance update. Again, the ordinance was sent to the city council on November 23rd. Okay, it's in the Natural Resources Committee chaired by Kristen Mello, and I haven't heard anything from her about a meeting. So I guess when they schedule a meeting, they'll let us know.
Okay, so do they ask for board commission members to present to them if they have questions, or does it just go through you, Mr. Chairman, or how does it work?
I'm not sure. I mean, I would expect them to ask us to come, talk to them
Okay,
if we want to change the ordinance.
sure, okay.
I mean, we could. Colleen, I can't hear you.
Do you want me to email her and ask her?
Yeah, you could ask her when their meeting's going to be. I mean, a couple of us could go. I mean, can't take a quorum, but so that's where we are so far. Item C, the tree replacement policy. Again, you got a copy of it by email?
I think it's pretty straightforward, Mr. Chairman, when I read it.
Okay,
I'm curious to get Bob's feedback on that.
I think it's good. It's comprehensive. The law department's gonna rule on this, right?
no, they don't have to.
Okay.
It's a policy within the commission.
I think it's good. I talked to Meredith a lot about this, and I think she did put together a good plan. So, let's see what happens here.
Right, we can always change it,
Yeah,
if
Because this is not set, right,
Right.
Mr. Chairman? Okay,
Well, it's a document that we can work from. It'll be on our website, but it's something we can change on our own.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Any questions about, comments
Yeah,
about it?
Because this is our first official written policy, as opposed to informal, continual type policies, we have to give it a name or a date or something, or just even make it like policy number 1 dated tonight, or it just, I'm assuming we're going to be doing other policy statements.
We'll just call it tree replacement policy.
Okay, that's good. I just suggest we date it
Right,
and then we add revision 1 perhaps. How's that?
right, let's say, approved by vote on such and such a date.
Yeah, even better.
Okay, so speaking of that, do we have a motion to approve the tree replacement policy?
I will make a motion that we approve the tree replacement policy.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any further discussion?
I will nominate this to be called policy number 1 dated December 14, 2021.
All right, okay. All in favor? Bob,
Yes.
Jim,
Yep.
Tom,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes as well. Thank you. Item D, invasive species management plan for Plutoniac property. Again, I walked this property with Meredith and Olivia, a representative from Audubon, who actually are in control of this property. We walked up that Eversource roadway. That's where we spotted the erosion, really bad erosion there. But on the Plutoniac property, there is a field that we like to keep as a field. Right now, there's a lot of bittersweet in it. There's some small pine saplings in there. And Meredith got in contact with Lauren DiCarlo, a professor at the college, who did proposed in the project on the Westfield River with the burning bushes. So she is very happy to have a student or students work up a plan to make sure that the field stays as a nice field. Olivia from the Audubon is very excited about this, and I guess they have scheduled a meeting out on the property on January 19th in the afternoon. So I'm sure if any of you would like to go along, I'd be more than welcome. So I think it's a good thing that they're getting involved in. So we're going from there. Also, Meredith is trying to, as one of her last acts, is trying to get somebody out there to maybe brush hog it. Yes, Colleen.
Meredith texted me today. She said that the gentleman who does the mowing on our levees, Joe L-U-B-E-K, L-U-B-E, maybe if I put my glasses on. Oh, it's L-U-B-E-L-C-Z-Y-K.
Mr. Levis there.
He can mow it for about $900, he said.
Okay, we have what, 2,000?
We have 2,000. So
Okay.
I need, if you want to go ahead and hire this guy to do it, I need a vote to release that $900.
My understanding is we could also mow it later in the spring. I know they discourage that kind of mowing for migratory birds. That's when they would be nesting on the ground, but we don't have to do it now. And that might give the college kids a chance to have some input into this if they really are going to pick up the ball.
Yeah.
In other words, I don't think there's a sense of urgency on the mowing this
We have the
fall.
money until the end of June.
Correct.
And perhaps, Tom, you're right. You want to have them see where the bittersweet is, where the pine trees are, so they can map it before and after. There's also a
Mr.
nice tree in the
I'm
middle of
told-
that property that is covered with vines. So those things need to be cut in so that tree doesn't get strangled too much. So any comments about, doing the mowing now or later other than Tom's?
Mr. Chairman, I'm
Yes, Tom.
totally in agreement with what Tom said. I think we should wait. I think we should get it mapped out. I think we should take a hard look at this. I think we should let the students get up there, and then we'll have a better perspective as a commission.
Okay. So I take that as a consensus of the group. So we'll hold off until, again, the college people get out there and take a look at it. And I'll try to be out there for the 19th in the afternoon and talk to Olivia and Lauren. Okay, item E.
If anybody
Yes.
else wants to go, shoot me email and I'll shoot Olivia and Lauren and David an email letting him know that you're gonna attend also.
Yeah,
Okay, thank
yeah.
you.
What was that tentative date, by the way?
The
January
19th,
Yeah, the 19th of January in the afternoon. I don't know what time yet.
Okay. Just, let me know. I'll try to see what we can do.
Okay. Okay, item E, coordinator position. All right, so I
So,
sent you out a document that I received from the personnel director, basically describing our plan of action. So the first thing we have to do is to approve the job description. Once we do that, then he will post the job tomorrow. Or have his department post it. Okay. Secondly, after that, we need to put together a screening committee and talk about that. So let's first vote on the job description. Again, you all have a copy of it. We did update it a little bit. So I need a motion to approve the job description for conservation coordinator as written.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of comments first, please.
Sure.
Okay. I read it and I thought you folks did a great job. I also compared it to the conservation agent job description for the town of Bourne and the town of Marshfield. And it was very similar, covered pretty much all the same things. Those two had some interesting focus, though. They both specifically said there would be site visits. And we don't specifically say site visits, even though it's a critical part of the job. But we do have enough area, but we're under the gun. We got to approve this. And I don't want to see it rewritten. But I think there's enough words in here that covers it. Like in the first paragraph, serves in administration, inspection can obviously mean site visits. And then under illustrative duties and responsibilities, second paragraph, engages in analysis of various conservation data as obtained and collected site visits. And then further on, monitors compliance by developers. So it's covered, but next iteration around, hopefully in the near future, I would like to add specifically that site visits are a critical part of the.
Jim, on page 3,
I missed it.
under additional requirements,
Got it.
okay, it says, while most work is performed during daylight hours.
Got it. Site visits.
Yes, it's got site
That's
visits. Okay,
All right. I didn't even need to say all that stuff.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you, thank
It's
you.
there. All right.
Okay. So with that said, you can make the motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept this job description for the Conservation Commission coordinator that was presented to us today on December 14th, 2021.
All right, thank you. Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Bob?
Yes.
All right, Tom?
yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
Jim?
Yep.
Carl?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Okay, item F, the screening committee. So this is officially the discussion of formation of a preliminary screening committee for the hiring of a conservation coordinator and a possible vote. So I've talked to Mr. Bishop, the personnel director, several times concerning this. And he said we need to have a preliminary screening committee. He suggests that it be 3 people, himself, the city attorney, and me. He said the screenings, we would look at the resumes and go through the resumes and winnowing out those that really don't meet the requirements and selecting those that do meet the requirements to have initial interviews. These interviews would be in executive session. So a lot of people don't want the information out that they're looking for a job at the beginning. He did say, we could have another member of the committee on there. Again, we can't have more than one because of the open meeting law relative to quorums. And also, these would be in-person meetings, so he wants to keep it as flexible as possible. Okay. Then after the screening committee has done its work, the screening committee will then recommend 2 finalists to the full commission. The commission will then interview the 2 finalists in open session. They will then discuss the finalists and approve one of them or disapprove both of them at that meeting. This has to be done in open session to comply with the open meeting laws. So any comments?
I think that a committee of 3 is a good number to work with, but, and I'm not at all interested, but if there's another commissioner here this evening that wants to join David, I would vote for that. So speak now.
And you'd have to be available in the daylight daytime to meet.
Mr. Chairman, why are in our recent last 2 hires, it was, well, first of all, for Meredith, it was just, I think it was 2 or 3 commissioners. Tom, I believe you were one of them. Myself, David, I think you're on it. And I think there was one other person, but I don't recall who it was.
The personnel director.
The last time the personnel director was in with us?
Yes.
I
I
don't
thought it
recall
was the full commission. Carl, do you remember this? Do you have a memory of Meredith?
No, it can't be the full commission.
Yeah, no, it wasn't the full commission.
No,
I know
it was
that.
not. No.
It was
No.
the full commission when we got down to doing the interviews.
The final interviews.
So we did do an interview as a full commission.
You have to.
That's what I remember.
Right, but we accepted or rejected who the subcommittee recommended. Because
Correct.
it was between Meredith and the gentleman from Sturbridge or Southbridge, one of those towns. Those were the final 2. I don't know if I can say that right now, but I did.
Weren't there 3? Because there was the gentleman from West Springfield also.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's
I
right.
thought it was-
Yeah.
I thought it was the full committee. You have no memory of this, Carl?
I was out for part of this, but
Oh,
at the
that's right.
beginning, yeah, but
Yeah,
at the beginning, I do remember that it was a small committee that brought the finalist candidates to the
Yeah.
committee.
I'm sorry, Dave, I don't remember that the personnel director was there, but maybe I don't even know if it was a man, he or she, maybe they were. Why do we need why do we need an attorney on it? What value do they provide?
I'm not sure, but that's what he said the commission should, he said someone from the law department is typically on these committees to make sure that things go well. And Shayna wanted to do it because she's more familiar with the environmental or the Conservation Commission issues. Also, the personnel director, Mr. Bishop, has an undergraduate degree in environmental sciences, so he's got some knowledge in the area, which would be helpful as well.
Well, can we go with one more commissioner then, 2 commissioners, the attorney and the personnel director?
Yeah, he said we could add one more person if we wanted to. But again,
I would be interested.
okay. He
I'll
also,
make a motion. Is there anyone else that's interested?
Can I add something to that? I am interested. If for some reason I can't do it because of some just upcoming personal reasons, just for time availability, maybe there could be another person that would express an interest to represent the board along with David. That would be a sort of a backup if I really got pulled into another direction.
Well, I guess I would think that whoever does it needs to do all interviews to get, a
Understand.
good opinion.
Yes, understand.
I'll make a motion that we establish a screening committee consisting of the Conservation Commission Chairman, the Conservation Commission Vice Chairman, the Human Resources Director, and the town attorney.
Okay. All right. Do we have a second?
Sure, I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, I've got another item, but I'll do it after this vote. Okay, Bob,
Yes.
Jim?
Yep.
Carl,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes as well. Also, in the middle of one of these paragraphs, it says, is also prudent to have the commission delegate to the personnel office the creation of the standard questions that will be asked of the candidates. Otherwise, the development of those questions that will be asked at the interviews must be done in an open session. So you can see the conundrum here.
Could you read that again, David? I didn't
Okay.
even I didn't get it.
Hey, it is prudent that the commission delegate to the personnel office the creation of the standard questions that will be asked of the candidates. Otherwise, the development of those questions that will be asked of the candidates have to be created in open session. So we would, if you wanted to add more questions, we would have to do that in open session.
I'd throw the ball back at him and say, hey, develop the list, bounce it off us, and we'll let you know if we like it. I mean, that's his job, right?
Right.
The human resource guy.
Yeah. And he
Let
said,
him do it.
he also said for other commissions or for other positions, the commissions often don't even involve themselves in the hiring process. They let the personnel office do everything.
Well, Mr. Chairman, we put together a list for Meredith's hiring process.
Right.
We then use those lists as standard questions for all the applicants, and I thought they worked out pretty well. Then on the note, because we wrote notes on those, we submitted those back into the personnel department for privacy. I don't even have a copy. But can't they be retrieved?
I can ask him that, yes.
I mean, at a minimum, Meredith was hired, so they must have a record of our interview questions.
Yes,
They must have source documents. They can just take the questions off of there.
right. So I can get a clarification from him about that. Okay.
I mean, we're not going to meet for another month. We can't put this off for another month, you know?
Well, the position is posted for a month.
Oh, I'm sorry. So when is the posting up then?
It would be the 15th of January,
Okay, and we meet sometime in the middle.
the 11th.
Okay, all right, okay.
But he also said, we can interview people before the end of the posting if we think they are good candidates. We just can't hire them until the end of the posting.
So we don't have to wait for the pool to be completed before
No,
we dig
no, we
into it.
don't. No, we don't. Now, being the holidays, it may be tough to do anything until January. So I'll get a clarification about the questions. And go from there.
I'll look and see if I have a blank form floating around. I doubt it. If I can, I'll just get it to you, David. How's that?
Okay,
All right.
all right, okay. So we've got 4 people on the screening committee. The screening committee will again go through the applicants, interview several applicants, pick 2 to recommend to the full commission, And then the full commission will interview those two in open session and then take a vote. Okay, so everybody's on board with the procedure.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay,
Yep, sounds good.
Probably a good time to thank Colleen for the extra work that she's putting forth, and also to thank you, David, for picking up more of the responsibilities that where we have a vacancy right now. So kudos to both of you.
Here,
Colleen, you had
here.
a comment? Did you have a comment, Colleen?
Oh, I did. It was just a question. It was kind of a procedural question. When it said in there that the commission delegates to the personnel director, does that mean you need to vote to delegate that? Because if you need to vote to delegate that, I just want to make sure that we're not caught.
Okay, let's do that. Thank you. That's a good idea.
I just want to make sure that we're not caught. I don't want to be waiting until January 11th to be posting this.
Yes. Thank you.
When you delegate something to another party, you're basically giving them the job. I think that's what we're saying. That's what he's saying,
Right,
is that he will work up the questions.
yes.
Does that mean I'm sorry, Tom, he meaning the personnel director?
Correct. He's asking us to, and I think it's the right thing to do, to delegate it to him. Let him take responsibility, working with David and working with Shanna.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest way, or else if we want to discuss questions, we've got to do it in an open meeting.
I mean, loud.
Yeah,
But perhaps Colleen's right. Perhaps we should be more formal and vote that we indeed are agreeing to the plan. Aye, Captain.
okay. All right. so
Yeah, I'm
let's do a
comfortable
motion.
delegating and I'm comfortable taking a vote too.
Okay. So I'd like to have a motion. Can someone make that motion, please?
I'll make a motion then that we delegate the writing of the interview questions to the personnel director of the city.
All right, do you have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Bob,
Yes.
Jim,
I'll abstain.
okay, Carl,
Yes.
Tom,
I'll vote yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Thank you. All right, so our adventure begins.
Yes.
Okay. So we voted to approve the description. We voted to set up the screening committee, and we voted to delegate. Is that correct, Colleen?
Approve the description, approve the screening committee, and you did the delegating.
All right,
Yes,
thank you.
yes.
And
Before we adjourn, David or Colleen, how do signs work? Do we have is there a closet somewhere where we have that sign with the frog on it that Jim or Jeff showed us earlier tonight? I need to put up 10. How do people get these 10 signs? We tell them where to go order them, or?
they
We don't
figured
tell
that-
them, sorry,
Go ahead, Colleen.
I was gonna say, we don't tell them where to order them. We tell them that they need to order them. We
Do we
can't
give
tell them where to go.
We just give them the
Can I add
template.
something, Tom, because I was involved with the design initially. We have the artwork.
Right,
The artwork, Colleen can give the artwork to anybody. Any sign shop can make them. You know, I think Staples might even make the signs, but you know, like that sign shop down behind Goodwill, you know, next to it. I mean, any sign shop can make these types of signs, and the specifications are essentially in the, I believe, order of conditions. They're 008 thick. The type is anodized aluminum, a laminated, type of material. And then, there's the type of attachment, whether it's a 4x4 or a metal pipe, the depth that goes around. All that is right in the order of conditions, except the artwork, and Colleen has that.
I forgot that you were involved, Jim. Yeah, I remember that now. But I would much rather see the artwork. I'd like to see that frog sitting on a lily pad with a banjo in his arm. That would be perfect.
And you'd look good with it with a hat.
I think,
Actually, you do, Peter. You could
Hey, Tom.
lose me very quickly.
Tom, it's getting late.
yeah, come on. All right, thank you,
Motion to
Peter.
adjourn.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Colleen, for helping out more than expected.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Yes,
thanks
thank-
so much, Colleen.
Thank both of you.
Yes.
Thank you
All right.
all.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
I
Okay,
make a
second.
motion to adjourn and Merry Christmas and
Yes.
Happy Holidays and to everybody.
Who seconded that, Colleen?
I think Carl did, didn't you, Carl?
No, I think it might have been Jim.
Oh, it was Jim?
Yeah, I'm
Sorry.
not certain, but
I just
I
heard a
did
quick,
something, whatever you
Okay.
want.
okay.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And we'll see you next year.
Oh, wait, you have to vote on it?
I know.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Phew.
Okay, all in favor? Bob,
Yes.
Jim?
Yep.
Carl,
yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Thank you.